Today I want to talk about ceasing to do. It's probably more accurate to say minimize effort or ceasing to efforting, basically. It's kind of, it's the realization that you can live in the world such that you don't have to use two oars, rowing quite vigorously, going against the stream to try to get somewhere. You can use one oar and fairly effortlessly steer downstream and use the entire strength of the river to get where you're going. And so, this is a principle that I try to put in the forefront of when I'm talking to people, is we've been doing things forever, years, different spiritual practices, different attempts to do this, that, or the other thing. And really, it's all this doing is an obstacle in and of itself. Even a lot of the basic spiritual teachings we hear about are put in a rather egoic doing way. For example, you hear let go, and then a lot of the non-dual people will say, well, who's going to let go? To a certain extent, they are true. They're onto something there when they say that, because it's like if you're holding onto a bag of luggage, in your hand. It's in your hand only so long as you're making the effort to hold on. As soon as you cease making the effort, the bag falls away. Gravity pulls it away. The very nature is not holding on. Our very nature, our inherent nature, is to not hold on. It is we that is holding on. And so it's not so much a letting go, which is another egoic way of putting it, but a ceasing to hold on. Likewise, you'll hear people say, well, we should allow. Allowing is kind of an egoic way. You can egoically try to allow. However, allowing is not what we're doing. We're resisting. That's what we're doing. And so the trick is to cease resisting. If we cease resisting, we automatically allow. Some people say, well, we need to accept. Well, accepting isn't the issue. It's the fact that we're denying. That's where we're making the effort. We're denying. If we cease denying, acceptance automatically occurs. And so this is kind of the principle, similar principle to like silence or stillness. If the goal is to be still, how do you do it? Well, whatever action you make, whatever movement you make is actually counter to stillness. If you're trying to get silence, if you keep talking about it or making noise, you're destroying the silence. The way to get stillness or silence is cease doing. If you cease making noise, there's silence. If you cease moving, there's stillness. And so I try to swap it around in that it's not a trying to do. So in the very same way you'll hear it's not about becoming, it's being. Well, becoming is a doing. We're trying to do something. It's not about becoming, it's about being, or at least realizing, what is through, it's the illusions of the mind and ignorance that are the obstacle. It's not a trying to become something. And so this is kind of a change of direction and focus, because so many people will ask me, well, what should I do? And I keep telling them, don't do anything. Doing is the problem. You've been doing for years. You've been doing all these practices and inquiries and contemplations and everything else. Try cease doing. Try to not do anything. If you need kind of a practice, just kind of in awareness, watch for where you're making the effort and cease making those efforts. And it will naturally bring us back to a more natural state. Because a lot of times you'll also hear awakening is living from or being, or however you want to say, the natural state. Well, how do you get to the natural state? By not trying to do something. It's our doing that is the unnatural part. And so we need to cease doing, or cease making the effort, minimizing the effort, and allow stillness, silence, allow awareness to perhaps see what is as it is. And so I think it's important to realize or be aware of how much effort and doing and practice we're doing and what we're and trying to become and look at all that and go, it's the wrong direction. It hasn't gotten me to where I want to go. And truthfully, it never will. Because if enlightenment can be said as seeing through the illusory eye, or seeing through the me, or maybe some people might say overcoming the ego, but it's more seeing through the ego. What can the ego do to see through itself? Absolutely nothing. Anything the ego does only reinforces and strengthens the illusion of the ego. And so it's not about doing. It's not about doing, and we do far too much. We need to pull back from the doing and just try not doing, which isn't really an effort. Not doing isn't an effort. It's ceasing to make the effort, and then what's left behind is stillness, silence, and such. So I hope this helps. If you need any further explanation, put a comment below, and I'll see what I can do. Thank you.